Donald Trump is crashing the markets. Right now, CryptoX and the entire crypto market is panicking as we are in a free fall ever since Donald Trump announced his tariffs. Bitcoin pulling back from $106,000 all the way to now almost $100K. With most crypto investors posting memes on X, watching their portfolios and their altcoins drop by anywhere from 30 to 70%. So in today's episode, let's talk about the tariffs. Are they good or are they bad for American consumers? Are they going to cause inflation and are they going to cause what could be a Great Depression? Because in case you missed it, I do have a lot smarter of a crowd on X, but you could probably estimate that roughly 70% of individuals on X right now believe trade tariffs are going to cause inflation from Trump's administration. Now, this has already caused a massive backlash, and both Canada and Mexico are even coming after the United States, saying that they're going to respond with their own tariffs, specifically targeting red states. Now, Trudeau's is almost beta as you can possibly get, so I doubt anything will actually come out of this, as one, he already resigned and has been like the worst prime minister in Canada's history. But two, the reaction of tariffs on the markets right now were predicted by none other than Peter Navarro months ago before Trump was even elected. Now, he was the assistant to the president for trade manufacturing policy during the Trump administration. And he dropped an article on Trump's tariffs from 2016 and how they did not cause inflation all the way through Biden's administration. And it in fact explains why it only benefits the American economy. Now, before you roll your eyes and think that there's gonna be some biased argument here, I even went on ChatGPT, which is notoriously known for being a lot more left-leaning. I typed in, of course, why didn't the Trump tariffs cause inflation during Trump's first administration, and what were they actually utilized for? How big were these tariffs? And these tariffs were pretty similar in size. Yes, the ones that are coming in now are bigger, but they weren't too far off. And this cites and sources from USTR officials' website, Brookings Institutions, Peterson Institute for International Economics, Reuters, Bloomberg, the New York Times, and even the Washington Post. And these are all reports on economic data. So how will these tariffs affect your crypto? Is the alt season over, and should you be worried? Well, according to Peter Navarro, the Trump tariffs will make American manufacturing great again. Here's what you need to know. Free trade does not exist in the real world. Every country cheats, and when one country uses unfair trade practices to gain a mercantilist advantage over another, they gain factories, jobs, wage gains, and growth in its gross domestic product at the expense of the other country. And as it currently stands today, America, before Trump, is the world's most unfair trade patsy. We have lower tariffs and trade barriers than any other major trading partners. Not coincidentally, we have the highest annual trade deficits. And just so you guys know, this was posted on October 1st, 2024. But as it stood, each of our trade partners cheat us out of jobs and factories in different ways. For example, Japan uses a dizzy array of non-tariff barriers to keep American automobiles and other high-value added production out of its markets. American cars are not allowed in Japan. Germany and other European nations gain an unfair advantage with a value-added tax that acts as a de facto tariff on the United States, which relies instead on an income tax. Our second largest trading partner, Mexico, who's also threatening tariffs now on the United States, is regularly breaking the rules of the North American Free Trade Agreement replacement that former President Donald Trump negotiated in his first term, but Biden-Harris administration did not enforce. Our largest partner, China, broke every rule in the World Trade Organization book with its 7 deadly mercantilist sins: stealing intellectual property, export subsidies, currency manipulation, dumping, state-owned enterprise, and pollution havens and sweatshops. America's chronic deficits severely damaging both our U.S. economy and national security. Now, you could check out this full article on Washington Times, but the main takeaway from Trump's first presidency is that tariffs did not raise prices. They raised real wages. Now, you guys know this. The globalists, the left, they love to beat Trump over the head with his tariff policies. Democrats consistently pounce on false arguments. And while you may not want to be political, this all impacts your guys' portfolio. Because if you ever end up selling to fear-mongering because some leftist is telling you something is bad and going to end the world, it could make you miss out on some of the biggest life-changing wealth that has ever been created. But here's the truth. The Trump tariffs did not cause inflation during his presidency. They will not cause inflations in Trump's second term. When America imposes tariffs on major trading partners such as China or Germany, The Trump tariffs forced the trading partners to reduce their prices of their goods sold to us, as the American market is too important to their export-dependent economies for them to try to pass along the full tariffs to American consumers. Over time, he is predicting as the Trump tariffs bring our manufacturing and supply chains back on shore and American corporations invest more in American workers, real wages and employment rise, and likewise moderating any possible inflationary effects. So whatever inflation comes to the economy is going to be outpaced by real wages, which is very positive for GDP growth. Now, this can do a numerous amount of things. The Trump tariffs could finance our defense budget, federal deficit, or tax cuts. Proposing a 20% across-the-board tariff on the American products, which is what they predicted. We're getting 25% in some countries, 10% in other countries like China. With annual U.S. imports of nearly $4 trillion, such a baseline tariff would raise about $800 billion annually, meaning Donald Trump is going to be raising more money than ever for the United States of America. Now, he ends this article, which I really recommend you guys read, by saying, in the fog of the presidential campaign, do not be fooled by the facile arguments of the globalist elites who have told us for decades that tariffs are bad and free trade is the road to prosperity. These globalist elites, financed by multinational corporations, feed us this free trade dogma as justification for sending our jobs in factories to Asia, Europe, and Latin America. They always put their own profits above the American people. Nowhere are the broken promises of the WTO, NAFTA, and free trade better understood than in the battleground states of Michigan, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, which are all notoriously known for voting for Donald Trump, even though they're swing states. Ground zero for the carnage wrought by free rather than fair trade. Michigan has lost most of its auto industry. North Carolina, its furniture and textiles industries. And Pennsylvania, its steel industry. And this is exactly why all these voters and these working class Americans voted for Donald Trump. If you need more articles, this is coming from the EPI.org, which showed that in 2022, under Biden's administration, they broke down and disclosed how tariff increases did not cause inflation. This is in fact why Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's administration left all of Trump's tariff policies in the first place. They did not remove them. And unfortunately, the fear-mongering is working. We've known almost everybody that knew Donald Trump was going to put into effect tariffs that voted for him and knew this time would come. And I don't know, maybe there is something I am not seeing, but the reality is, the facts are, tariffs were put into effect in Trump's first administration. They did not cause inflation. Yet the entire market is sparked and fearing over the fact that inflation is going to break our economy in the future. So I don't know how long it's going to be, how far stocks in crypto will fall from here. But we know the path forward is tokenization. Path forward is artificial intelligence. The path forward is cryptocurrency. You have a United States president who owns hundreds of millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and even some altcoins. You have the Federal Reserve coming out and stating that investors and households should be exposed to crypto. You had the SAB 121 revoked, which means banks are going to be able to be much more approachable to cryptocurrency customers and clients. We have a digital asset committee board. We're in talks of a Bitcoin strategic reserve. And it went so bullish, we now have talks of a digital stockpile. Which, hate that idea or not, that is bullish for crypto as a whole. And hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars are being announced to be invested into the United States from Saudi Arabia and many others. So if you're scared of what's happening in these markets right now, my personal opinion is this. The tariffs did not cause economic strain and inflation in Trump's first term, and I personally do not expect them to cause pain in Trump's second term, which means whatever short-term volatility is taking place because of this fear, uncertainty, and doubt of the tariffs being embedded, means that when these leftists and when these people that are flooding the markets to shit get it wrong, we are going to see much further upside in this market. The tariffs are not a black swan event. Everybody has seen them coming. And while they might cause some more short-term volatility, I expect the midterm and long-term to be exponential for a lot of these markets. But if you have articles that show me how somehow the tariffs in Trump's first administration brought inflation to our markets in the first place, please share them in the description below. Other than that, I'm expecting the Feds to cut interest rates by at least 2 times this year, and I'll be reporting on everything that takes place with the negotiations around these tariffs in the first place. Until then, there's a lot of signs we're about to enter alt season. Ethereum potentially finally about to break out of its downtrend. It might be weeks, it might be days, it might be months, but I do believe the upside is going to come back to this market. So if you want to stay up to the latest information, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all in the next crypto video.